What is it about seeing the words based on a true story in the opening credits of a film that send a shiver down your spine? While most, if not all, horror stories include a fair share of fiction to make the story more gruesome, often the inspiration for those horror films are based on true events. Perhaps it's the terror that we feel that it happened to someone, so it could happen to me as well. Whatever's said and done, slap a true story label in ominous red letters on a poster, and you have yourself a hands-down scary flick. Today, I will talk about 5 horror films inspired by true events. Number 1. The Amityville Horror. The film is about an unassuming family, John and Kathy Lutz, who along with their 3 children purchase a Long Island home that was previously a site of a mass murder. Following a series of haunted happenings, the Lutz family is forced out of the house. The film is actually based on a book by a real-life couple, George and Kathy Lutz, about their supposed experiences in that Amityville house that was so frequently haunted, they ran screaming after only 4 weeks. The couple allegedly heard voices during the day, witnessed various cold spots inside the house, and also saw a green slime-like substance oozing out from the walls. And though the researchers strongly dispute the authenticity of the story, the film is actually quite frightening. Number 2. The Entity. One of the most absurd horror stories, the film tells a real-life story of a Carla Morgan, a single mother of 3 children, who is plagued by a supernatural entity that abuses and rapes her repeatedly. In 1974, paranormal researchers Kerry Gaynor and Barry Taff investigated the case of a woman named Doris Bitter who lived in Culver City, California, and claimed to have been physically and sexually assaulted by an entity. Gaynor and Taff witnessed objects move in her house, captured photos of floating lights, and saw a humanoid apparition, but they never saw it assault the woman and never tried to capture it. The haunting reduced once the family moved out the house, but the story already provided fodder for the most creepy horror film to be ever made. Number 3. The Exorcism of Emily Rose. This movie is about a priest who is on a trial for the death of a young woman named Emily Rose, whom he had performed an exorcism on. The movie documents the woman's struggles with being possessed and the priest's trial, which strikes a debate between science and faith. The real Emily Rose was inspired by the story of a 16-year-old German girl named Anneliese Michel, who began displaying symptoms of a demonic possession like self-abuse, starvation, and paralysis. 7 years later, when her suffering became anything but better, 2 priests performed an exorcisms and claimed that Michel was possessed by several demons. When Michel finally died in July 1976 due to starvation, her parents and the priests were tried and found guilty of manslaughter. Number 4. Wolf Creek. This Australian horror flick narrates a story of 3 backpackers who find themselves held captive by a serial killer in the Australian outback, which is the most remote and arid area of Australia. This movie is based on a story of a real-life serial killer, Ivan Milat, who was responsible for the deaths of 7 backpackers around Belanglo State Forest in the 90s. The convicted murderer, Milat, was stalking hikers in a park before he would shoot, stab, strangle, or beat his victims to death. Other than a body to be murdered, Milad offered no motive for his crimes, simply bone-chilling. Number 5. The Strangers. A house invasion horror starring Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman as a couple who go to stay at a summer home, only to fall victim to a trio of menacing, mask-wearing psychopaths. The true story. The director Brian Bertino revealed that the movie's premise was based on an incident that happened to him. As a kid, a stranger appeared at his door, asked for someone who didn't live there, and left. He later found out that a series of break-ins occurred in his neighborhood that night. On top of that, he also drew inspiration from one of the infamous Manson killings, carried out by the minions of the occultist Charles Manson. I hope you enjoyed this quick list of top 5 true story inspired horror films. If you wish to see more videos like that, feel free to comment, subscribe and like this video. Thanks.